Can you hear me all right? Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you perfectly loud and clear.
All right. So good morning and thank you, everybody, for tuning in to our Friday training session. As you know, every Friday we used to hold a training session at every single one of our offices, but we are adapting to this new temporary reality. And I just wanted to say that this is a temporary reality. So we wanted to go ahead and continue our education and training and sessions. So then this one, we were putting our calendar together, we thought while we are in this quarantine period, we wanted to make sure that you didn't stop marketing. For those that don't know, our co-host, Carlos Iraola, Carlos' title is marketing and more marketing. So I said, Carlos, who manages a sales force throughout multiple states and needs to maintain that sales force laser focus. I said, well, Carlos, why don't we sit down? We prepare something talking about that, talking about marketing and this social distance reality so that we're living right now. So first, I want to make sure everybody is still safe and following the guidelines wherever you live. And I want to introduce our co-host, Carlos Iraola. Carlos, how are you today?
I'm doing wonderful, Ernesto. Thank you so much for having me. Happy holidays. It's a pleasure to be here today.
Okay, Carlos, for those that don't know you, can you give a quick the elevator pitch intro of who you are?
My name is Carlos Iraola. I'm the sales director for Stewart Title for the Eastern United States. I've been with Stewart Title for approximately 9 years. Prior to my role, I was a division president for Stewart Title for Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach counties. And prior to that, I was business development officer for the Miami-Dade area. So I know most of you already, but for those of you who I don't know, I look forward to meeting you soon. And once again, happy holidays.
Thank you. So you heard that he's in charge of marketing, and marketing, it's something that never stops, because if marketing stops, is the perpetual hamster wheel. Once you get it going, it's easy to maintain, and if you get it to stop, it goes away. So I have a couple of things that I want to chat with Carlos and get Carlos' intake on it, and I have shared with him a few of my comments. One of the things I wanted to talk about is that, while we living in this unprecedented global crisis that we are all going through, Carlos, there is really no book or plan or step by step to follow, because none of us had ever have to go through anything like this. So one of the things that I always that look at it, that there's always a plan to follow, a plan B. In this moment, there isn't a plan B, so we are all writing our roadmap as we're going forward. One of the things that when me and Carlos talked about putting this together, that we shared was, we got to be real. There's a lot of people that are out there saying that, May 1st is all going to be butterflies and rainbows and cotton candy and everything will be back to normal. And we're going to have a big gay old party and celebrate. We don't know until we get there what that reality is going to look like. And me and him both agree that there's going to be some pain. So we are all confused. We are all scared. We are all trying to do the best that we can. So mindset, it's the one thing that you can control right now. Your mindset, your focus is one of the few things that you can control right now while we go through this moment. So Carlos, what is your take on what's going on, and how are you adapting the one-to-one marketing that you used to do?
Okay, well, first and foremost, I just wanted to make sure we all understand the difference between sales and marketing. So if you don't mind, I'm going to go ahead. Take
note on that one, everybody that's listening. 100 people listening so far. Take a note on that. That was a key statement.
I think the majority of us don't realize the difference. They do intertwine, but it's important for us to know. So I'm going to give you the definition of what is marketing. Marketing is the process of getting people interested in the goods and services being sold. Marketing is the process of getting people interested, in the goods and services being sold. So in your case, it's homes, condos, right? That's your goods that are being sold. That's your marketing. The sales are all the activities that lead to the selling of that good being sold. So just an interesting statistic for you all, 70% of a buyer's decision is made before they talk to the salesperson. So I share that statistic with you guys because that shows you how important your marketing is, because your marketing leads to them making that 70% decision before they go ahead and engage with you. Does that make sense, Ernesto? So
Well,
all
that
of your
is
marketing
that
efforts,
is a beautiful statement. I sort of pause right there. So 70% of the decisions already made. So yesterday I had a
before they
conversation
talk to the,
before they talk to.
yeah.
So yesterday I had a conversation with Carolyn, and we were doing our business planning session for what's coming up. And I said, Carolyn, I'm looking at my online traffic, and I'm looking at our leads coming in. And last week we're down 20%. Our views online are steady, but our leads is down 20%. And she's like, well, the 20% is nothing. That's like a hiccup. And I'm saying that, and now you're saying this, it makes perfect sense. People are still making the decision to buy or sell. They're just pausing it right now. So, but that decision is already in place. All right, I'm jotting that one down.
Which leads to what we can do, right? Knowing that information, right, means that we need to hone in on our skills, right? So for those of you who did a 2020 business plan, I applaud you. I know that I went to many classes for Canvas, and I really pushed using the Breakthrough Broker business plan. But you can take that business plan and throw it away, and you now have 3 to 4 weeks to do a brand new business plan, which if you hadn't done it before, shame on you. Now this is the time for you to do it. And maybe this is the time for you to think about perhaps creating a team, right? We're seeing a lot of teams being, formed. So it's going to save you in costs when it comes to marketing. It's going to save you on actually having people who are how do I say this, who are better in certain, skill sets. So if I'm a better buyer's agent, pick me to buying. So I just see that we're going to become more efficient as an industry.
Okay, so considering what you're saying, you're saying you need to prioritize, and if you're part of a team, you can streamline what you're prioritizing, because we are gonna need to pivot as an industry to face whatever new reality, the new market it's gonna bring to us. We all had a 20. I'm not wearing it today. I forgot to put it on my 20 and 2020 goal, which is our company goal was to make sure everybody did a minimum of 20 deals by the end of the year. And then, we are now in a pause, but I think this pause is like we're all sitting in a cannon ready to be shot. The market will pivot, but you need to, prepare for what's going to happen. Carlos, let me ask you. So before we went into quarantine, we all had marketing strategies that were working. At what time should you decide to pause whatever marketing you had in place and shift it, or should you just pause it for now and then restart it? When I'm talking about content, the content that sell your house, I'm the expert. At this moment, do you think that whoever the people listening to us should pause and shift that content for the next 15 to 30 days to a more charitable, educational content, or what are you doing? What are you telling your people to do?
Again, this is my own Carlos Iraola. What I would suggest is, always focus on your strengths. So if you have, for example, in the last 2 years, if you sold a condo, I would go to every single person that I've sold a condo to, and I would reach out to them just to see how they were doing. Okay? Because most likely, from what I've been reading, a lot of people want to start buying single family homes. Okay? So maybe that would be your new marketing strategy. So your past strategy, which was maybe farming, maybe now you farm condos, and you can say, hey, I'm an expert in a certain area for single family homes. We're very fortunate that we live in Florida, because the majority of the influx of people who are going to come to the state after this is all over, I mean, the numbers are going to be astronomical. We're going to bounce, you know, it wasn't an economic issue here that caused this, right? This is a pandemic. And the second we bounce back, hospitality is going to come back stronger than ever. Housing is going to come back stronger than ever. Refis are going to come back stronger than ever. People are going to put money into their homes. So I just think that the strategy depends on the person, Ernesto. There's no secret sauce strategy that that there is. It depends on the agent. But with that being said, you really now have to have a real business plan. You really need to figure out how you're going to spend your marketing dollars for the remainder of the year, right?
So, but have you guys, have you changed your approaches? I mean, you have a huge database of realtors that you are targeting. Have you changed, let's say, the imagery and the language and what you're sending out as newsletters, emails? Have you guys sort of pivot and presented that, you know, that, hey, how are you? How can we help you? These are the tools to carry you through. Have you done that, or are you still doing the same market that you were doing before February?
I'd say that we're still focusing on our customers, you know, first and foremost, their safety and their well-being. It's, you know, this isn't like we're asking for business, but we're constantly, you know, every week we have 2 or 3 webinars that are constantly educating our customers, whether it's the Ted Jones economic one, whether I'm working on a 1031 right now for CE credits. We had one yesterday that was fantastic. It was a psychiatrist to give us, you know, kind of put everything in perspective of what we're dealing with. I mean, none of us, like you said, none of us have ever dealt with this before. So I think that you need to be creative in what kind of material you're pushing out there. Well, you know, without realtors being able to show homes, without, you know, buyers feeling comfortable going into a home, you know, our shift as a title company organically goes to lenders, right? Interest rates are low. Anybody who can refi right now, you know, so we're pushing towards lenders right now, because that's what's going to, you know, really help us get out of this pandemic, right? So every industry has to, you know, figure out their niche. But for your agents, you know, maybe it's focusing right now on renters. You know, there's going to be a lot of people who are going to have to rent perhaps, and that creates a pipeline for buyers. But there's just so much opportunity there, but it can't be done by throwing something against the wall and seeing if it sticks. You really need to sit down, think it through, and do it in a business plan. You have to have a business plan. I can't reiterate that enough.
Okay, so then for everybody listening, you know, because I'm going to have a couple of topics to go over, you know, them as for marketing, not for sales, to getting sales, for marketing, they have changed their presentation to their prospects. They have changed the language on what they're sending out. They have changed the imagery. They're presenting more of a how are you, how can we help you sort of presentation, instead of, you know, we are the best, we rock, we rule. That they have put that away, and they have sort of changed the approach just to make sure that, you know, they can address that with their customers. So, you know, if you have a campaign that is running right now, if you're reaching customers right now, you might want to pause whatever you were sending out, you know, and maybe if you're sending recipes, I will say keep the recipes, because everybody's cooking at home. You know, everybody's cooking at home. But if you're sending other stuff, you might want to fine tune that component. Carlos, language and it's huge right now. And you mentioned you guys have brought in a psychologist to help. A psychologist for people to sort of, you know, understand and try to process what we're going through, so that, you know, did she mention what tips did she share about this social distancing? Because, you know, humans, we are, you know, especially South Floridians,
Okay.
we're huggers. We're huggers. We like shaking hands. We see everybody. We like to embrace everybody. We like to be close to each other. So how that distancing, what tips did she share, and how can we turn those tips into marketing for for our audience to work with their customers?
She hates the word social distancing because that makes it feel like you and I can't, if you walk by me, I can't say hi to you, you know. Ultimately, it's more physical distancing than social distancing is what she said. She said that we need to get in habits of, you know, obviously you know, if you exercise, you need to continue to exercise. If you don't, you know, every 45 minutes, you need to get up and walk around a little bit. 120 minutes per week of exercise is what she says is going to really help you get through this. Ultimately, she also said that in order to get through this, you also need to have it clean, since we are working from home, and this is our time to reinvent ourselves, right? Through marketing and our new business plan is we really need to have a clean working space so that all of our thoughts, all of our notes come in clean, and we can think things through. You know, we really need to, and this is something that I can tell you, Stewart Title, is this is all of our salespeople's time to sharpen and to get comfortable using the CRM, because that's going to help them get out of this. CRM for any industry is the key to success. So if you're not comfortable and you've always had no time to train yourself using your CRM, this is the time to do it. Reach out to Ernesto, reach out to another agent, and just see if you can get an hour of their time. I mean, that's the biggest push that we're doing at Stewart Title, is this is the time to educate yourself in the industry. If you're not subscribed to multiple news outlets, this is the time to do it. If you need a continued education, you know, get those online. Get all of the busy stuff out of the way now, because when this is all over, you're not going to have time to do anything else. So you have to think that when this all ends, those online leads are going to be coming in. Everyone's going to be out there, you know, with a machete.
So, Carlos, what I've seen, and this has been mostly this week, it's a lot of real estate professionals out there, sort of trying to capitalize on the crisis. I've seen a lot of content regarding, you know, reduce your price or list before the market contracts and values are eroded. You know, a lot of them saying this quarantine can last for more months. We will never go back to reality. You know, and bragging about how successful they were back in the last correction with short sales and foreclosure. So I see a lot of that content in social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. I don't condone that. I think that you know, those, you know, being an alarmist is never a good thing. I don't think this is the time for anybody to brag on how successful they were, especially if there's so many people going through such hardship that, you know, a lot of us are not going through. So how do you suggest that we keep the consumer informed without being an alarmist saying, hey, prices are going to erode? I mean, this is something, but you can look it up, said that Miami prices would erode 30% over the next 365 days. And I don't know where they got that magic 8-ball from, but I don't, you know, Walter Mercado is dead, so I don't know how he came up with that one.
I mean, I can just tell you, based on what I've you know, been reading and educating myself on, the industry that's going to be impacted the most for us here in South Florida is going to be the commercial real estate market. It's not going to be the residential market. And I'd go ahead a step further, and I would say I would definitely not reduce the price of any homes. And that would not be my strategy. I would stay firm on my price, because like I said, as soon as this is all over, more people are going to invest in single family homes than ever. They're going to finally put up that barbecue, or they're going to want to buy a house with a pool, or they're going to want to have this house closer to their grandparents' house. Or everything is going to change. And when it comes to a single family home and the family, that's why it's so important, you know, talking about positive, you know, from all of this negative, is the amount of family time people are spending together. I know some people are like this, but at the end of the day, you know, you're doing things that you should have been doing, but you haven't been doing. So I think the values are coming back that we need as a society. I think that professionals during this time, this would be a great opportunity, you know, if you ran an open house before this crisis, to call every single one of the agents who just visited you and do what you should have done anyway. And just call them and say, hey, how are you doing? You know, you don't have to, it doesn't have to be a pitch. It doesn't have to be a sell. You just calling to see how you're doing and your peers, right? So I just think that the humanity aspect here could take us a long way. But the FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt, that's how they get people to do things. I think that's a short-sighted person who's doing that, and I don't think that's going to work for the long person, because in a relationship-based industry, getting someone to sell for, you know, when they can get 40% more if they just wait 5 months, you know. Again, I don't have the crystal ball, but I've read that we should not reduce any prices for single-family homes. Condos might be different, but for single-family homes, no. Commercial is going to be affected because obviously people are going to realize they don't need a 5,000 square foot office if they can really have 30% of their office work from home, right? Effectively. So there are certain aspects of real estate that are going to change, but not residential real estate.
Okay. So before I recap the topics that you just talked about, so a few of our agents yesterday were doing what they should be doing, pulling out their database and making 5 to 10 calls a day, and talking to everybody. And 2 of them shared with me what you just said. 2 of them spoke to owners that live in condos, one in Fort Lauderdale, one in Brickell, where they said, listen, when this is over, we need to talk because I got to sell. There are 2 cases in my building. I'm panicked about even picking up the mail in my building. Even if I have to buy a house, a small house, as soon as this is over, we need to, let's thank you for reaching out. I really need to move out of here. So I have heard that twice already from 2 different agents that they were just doing their calls, following up. Hey, how are you? What's going on? Blah, blah, blah. And it was like, that component. Okay. So then to recap.
Wait,
can
I interject there?
Yeah.
So I would take it a step further. And if they have equity in that apartment, I would go the extra mile, do the math, see if they have money for a down payment and just turn a condo into an income producing property. Right?
Yeah, that's.
I mean, people are still going to have to. I'm just saying you don't have to be so aggressive. You could be a partner with your customer, have them rent that condo, and then buy something else instead of just getting the sell and the buy.
So then to recap the point that we just went over, let's capitalize on the crisis, but let's not promote fear in this current crisis. There's a lot of good content being put out by the Association of Realtors, by the state level association, by ourselves. Let's share the content, the reality, without being an alarmist, without panicking our consumers. And bragging right now is something that I don't think anybody should be doing. I mean, I don't think at any point you should be saying that you should brag about yourself. I think that the more people we help, the more we help ourselves. So those are my points for this one. So then that brings me back to minding the tone. So how do you have those conversations that that can go down that dark rabbit hole and have people lead you to when you call somebody? So how are you when you're calling your sales team, or when you're calling clients or past clients, or how are you keeping the conversation from deterring to conspiracy theories, or a lot of stuff that is being thrown out there that or Tiger King, like how are you?
I mean, first and foremost, don't. I know it's very difficult, but Facebook is not your friend during this time. Everything on Facebook is pushing agendas, and I'm a big proponent of a Facebook diet. So I would definitely get out of Facebook because that's not a good source for news. So going back to your,
you're on Facebook Live right now, being seen by hundreds of people, right?
Yes, but this isn't you and I. This isn't you and I pushing that a tiger was just found positive with COVID-19. I mean,
Okay.
you know, ultimately, Ernesto, is the calls are checkup calls. I mean, it's the softest call ever. I mean, we've been pushing people to pick up the phone and call people because people love to hide behind emails and text messages. So it's you know, we're still open. We're an essential industry. You know, we need to understand that, right? And I know you guys are still getting contracts. I know we're still getting contracts. I mean, there's still business to be, you know, made out there. And it's all about your mindset. It's about, you know, how are you going to, you know, start your day and go about doing that? You need to shift your marketing. So is it calling on your past customers? Is it calling on your other realtors who might be afraid to go out? Hey, maybe I'll do your showings for you, or maybe I'll do a virtual camera for you. I mean, it's about uniting as an industry, not just as Canvas agents versus other agents. It's working as one, Ernesto, and that's why it's so comforting for me that we now have to provide more value than ever. So if I call you, I can't just bring you bagels and donuts and say, hey, I'm going to sponsor a class. No. Now, this is what I really like, right? Now I get to, do you know that Stewart Title has a former instructor from the Association of Realtors who knows all of the tools that are free from the association? You know, what a great opportunity for you all to set up a meeting with Alex Henry, who would love an hour webinar with you all, right? And he could teach you tools. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Take advantage of this time. He's not calling asking for business. He's calling and asking, hey, can I get 1 hour and do a webinar with you and teach you how to use some of the tools to help you prospect?
So the topic of that one for you taking notes is mind your tone. Don't, and the next one you'll see what I mean. You know, make sure that, you know, we're not experts. I'm not a medical expert. You know, if for any medical question, I'm not an economist. I like to share the data that is provided to me, but I'm not there pitching it to others. And Carlos said we are an essential business, a business still being done. So this is interesting. Today alone, this is just today. Remember, it's only 11:30 a.m. That's it. New listings in Dade, Broward County, the entire county, it's been 70 new listings, right? And you're like, well, Ernesto, it's only 11 a.m. You know, it's a 7 new listings. Now, sales that took place yesterday, we are 55. So 55 sales and 70 new listings. So there's literally whatever inventory is coming into the market is being absorbed. So somebody's doing this business. You know, I one of the other things that I saw on social media was, well, no real estate is happening. I'm like, no, that is not true at all whatsoever. That is not what's going on out there. While we are in this period, real estate is being done differently, but it's still being done. So, you know, and yeah, you got to prep yourself, but there's still business being done. You're talking about 70 listings and 55 sales. That is literally, you know, all inventory that came in, it's going out. So Carlos, so we're changing our tone, right? But how do you sound positive without sounding ignorant? And how do you sound positive without facing realities? You know, we are, you know, you got to be reasonable and you got to present a message of reality. But how are you, you know, because like I said, there's the ones that are saying the sky, the chicken littles out there saying the sky is falling, right? And then there's some people that are in complete denial that they don't see that the market will shift and we will have to adapt and just thrive on the new environment. So how are you presenting a positive image without ignoring reality? Which is hard to ignore reality, but some people are.
Well, Ernesto, I say this to people all the time. You know, every morning I wake up and I look in the mirror and I'm bald. You know, that's the reality of it. Okay. Okay. So I can either wake up every morning and be miserable that I'm bald, or I can embrace the fact that I'm bald and I'm just going to work with it, man, you know? So yes, Ernesto, the reality of it is, I don't think anybody sounds ignorant if they're optimistic right? I think that they sound ignorant if it's doom and gloom. Back in 2008, remember, it's going to take 10 years to absorb all of this inventory. And before you knew it, it was all sold and the cranes were back up here. So, I just think there's a difference between being ignorant and being educated. And again, going back to, the opportunities that we have here is you really need to educate yourself, and you really need to read as much as you can on what is going to happen here. And the trend we're seeing already is people want to buy single family homes. I'm hearing people saying they want to move closer to their family. So you're going to start seeing more resale in that aspect of it. But you're still going to have people who still want to move to condos. Condo prices might be, more affordable now. That's why I think that maybe it would be great for rental income, because, a lot of people won't have the credit perhaps to buy right now. So it'd be a great place for them to increase their credit and rent for a while. But ultimately, Ernesto, that doesn't sound ignorant. That sounds educated. So I think that as long as you sound educated and you don't say things like, I'm busier than I've ever been. Yeah, maybe you're busier than you've ever been because you're finally taking care.
That goes back to that arrogant. That goes back to the previous topic. Avoid bragging. Avoid bragging right now.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with being busier than ever, but elaborate. Why are you busier? Oh, I'm busier than ever because I actually have a set plan. From 8 to 9, I'm prospecting still. I'm reaching out to all of my past clients. From 9 to 10, I'm working. From this to this. I mean, that's what we should be doing anyway. But the agents that you hear saying that they're busier than ever are doing what they should have been doing from the get-go, and following up on past clients and following up on future clients, because the world will come back. It's not coming to an end. Wuhan just opened up its doors again, and that's where this whole pandemic started. So I just, and everybody who's still working hard, right, is gonna hit the streets harder than ever. There's gonna be, all the restaurants are gonna be packed. People are gonna want to go traveling again. So I just see the economic boom that we're gonna see when this is all over doesn't make me ignorant, Ernesto. Okay, it just makes me a realist and someone who's educated.
So for those, what Carlos said in a long way from the beginning is, regarding his hairstyle, his hair choice, is, if you notice, he's being personable. He's being personal, and he's using that to reach and present his content. So, I think we all need to understand that you need to be yourself. You need to be personable. I think branding yourself and maybe doing a couple of campaigns or the success stories that will come out of this will go a very, very, very long way. If you can present those success stories, those first-time home buyers that were held back because of the current situation, and now you were able to get them that home that they wanted to, close to their family. So you got to do those two things. You got to be personable, and you want to share those success stories, but not your success stories, your customer success stories, so they can reflect on how you were a part of that success. You mentioned a couple of times 2008, 2009, and for all of you listening, 2008, 2009, Coca-Cola, which is a monster of a company, a multinational company, changed their slogan in 2009, I think. It changed their slogan to "Open Happiness." It was somebody who's opening a can of Coke, and it was this "Open Happiness." And I thought that was such a cool pivot on their marketing campaign, because it was no longer "Enjoy a Coke," right? It was just, we were all going through so much, and then, having that drink was, they were just saying, this is your happiness, or this little treat you're giving yourself is the happiness. So I don't know how, as a realtor, you can come up with a pivot like that. I just think that was great marketing behind them. I mean, that, they switched from "Enjoy a Coke," which had been their tagline, and it's now their tagline again, to temporarily, to adapt to the market in 2008, 2009, they went to a campaign just as simple as "Open Happiness." That Coke was just going to be your happiness. what guidance, if anything, Carlos, are you following in your content that you're sending out uh, to not sound alarmist or to not sound ignorant to the reality? Like, what are you, like, how are you sticking to the middle of the line there?
You know, people's safety, you don't really have to stick to the middle. It's safety comes first. So if you don't feel comfortable going into the office, we understand. You know, we do drive-through closings, for example. But at the end of the day, we're still all working. You know, everybody at Stewart is a W-2 employed salary, right? So, you know, the expectations of them are to continue to work, you can do one-on-one meetings like this and do things. You know, before this pandemic, we used to do weekly phone calls on Zoom, and the majority of them hated it. You know, and when this happened, our first meeting after, I was so happy. I was like, you see, you know, people don't care what you look like on a Zoom camera. But ultimately, Ernesto is, and I'm very bullish and I'm very optimistic. So maybe you're asking the wrong guy. This might not be politically correct, but it's, you know, it's not business as usual, but this is your time to really focus on yourself. Whether it's reading a book that can sharpen your skill, whether it's, you know, again, I'm big into CRM, getting comfortable with your CRM. If you're not, you need to. What are you doing with all the customers that you've had in the past? All those leads that you pay for? You know, think about what you're doing with all that, right? And just, again, I'm not saying we expect to get 15, you know, purchases a day, but we definitely need to plan when this ends. If this ends in the end of May or in the end of June, okay, our campaign's going to be 4th of July fireworks, you know, whatever the case is, all right? I mean, you just need to start thinking ahead. You know, our message to the field is be proactive, not reactive. I don't want to see somebody else coming up with something that we could have done. So whether that's the therapist that we had yesterday, whether that's a 1031 exchange for CE Court, whether it's Ted Jones talking about the economy, Stewart Title wants to be the forefront in that, right? So this is the opportunity for your agents. Instead of saying, if anyone's interested in listing a home in, you know, Broward County, you know, that message should never be posted. I can't stand when realtors post that message. The message should be more geared to statistics, data-driven, because like I told you, 70% of them already have done their research before they contact an agent. So imagine if you, as an agent, are providing information that will make that 70, 100%, and then now they feel comfortable using you. Does that make sense?
Actually, I'm gonna give the Cliff Notes. Remember Cliff Notes back when, years ago, the little condensed version. So
yeah, I use them.
Yeah, you didn't want to read. Use the, so the Cliff Notes of what you're saying is, you know, we are all craving more human interaction than ever. So we used to do this before, the Zoom calls before, and now everybody's doing them. So you're saying is double down on those human interactions through social media, to video conferencing, you know, reach out to customers, to past customers, to family. So, but double down on that. Don't hide. This is the moment to reach out to anybody and everybody. That's literally what I took from what you were saying. And
yeah,
and say and you said you didn't want to be politically correct. I think the nicer way of saying that is show your human side, show who you really are. You know, as you're making those calls, those video calls, and you're reaching out to everybody, you know, everybody's stuck inside. You're watching me right now because we're all stuck inside. But this is not gonna last forever. But this is a great moment to capitalize on this pause and better yourselves. But you know, what I gathered from what you said was that is, you know, don't be politically correct, but you can say, oh, show your human side, show who you really are, double down on video, reach out to everybody, connect with everybody, communicate your benefits. What is it that you're bringing and you're adding to these people as they move forward?
You know, and again, not to share this because this is personal, but for example, Ernesto and I both run, and we have a little side text going where once in a while, if he goes running, he'll send me a text of how much he ran, and I do that with him. Do that with some of your customers who you know might go running or might go jogging or might go bicycling, or I mean, there's just other ways to connect to people other than talking about business. Because Ernesto and I have a connection, right, through running that doesn't involve talking about anything to do with business. So I would say totally over communicate with your customers. Okay. I think I love how some people are doing those happy hours. You don't even have to be drinking, you can turn it into an happy hour and you can talk about, hey, what apps have you guys heard of? Or, because everyone's getting into video. It's a great time to get stronger. If you want to lose 10 pounds, this is the time to lose 10 pounds, right? If you want to read 2 books a month, this is the time to read 2 books a month. So again, I'm very, very optimistic, very, very optimistic that everyone's going to come out of this smarter and really working harder than ever.
So you're saying contribute at every opportunity that you can. Add something to everybody that you can. Just don't hibernate. Add something to everybody. Again, you use whatever media you want to use. I think video. I put a funny post earlier in the week that when I have a phone call now without video, I feel like I'm using a fax machine. I'm like, I want every phone call to be a video phone call. But you're saying is add something of value at every opportunity that you can as you're doing your marketing. As you're reaching out, marketing, not selling, marketing, try to take every opportunity to add something of value as you move along.
And the psychologist yesterday mentioned something that was spot on. It's the more you help somebody else, right, the better you feel and the better you're going to, it's like my wife always says, if I ever say anything negative about someone, she's like, don't put that negativity into the world. It's going to get back. It's going to get back and get you. So give positive, man. The more positive and the more you help, the more it's going to come back to you.
Yeah, so I agree. I don't like the social distance. To me, social distancing leads to stress, boredom, anxiety, loneliness. It brings a lot of negative things to it. So I think now it's a good time to although we might not be able to be next to each other, to still reach out and take advantage of or leveraging the technology that exists. I mean, I did an earlier webinar. And that was one of my points was, guys, if this would have happened 10 years ago, where technology was not where it is today, your industry and my industry would have been decimated because, we were all paper fax machines and everything had to be done in person and everything was a wet signature, blue ink only. And, if this would have happened 10 years ago, real estate and title would have been tremendously affected. But we have become e-commerce giants in our own. We have adapted, all these new technology that lets us do business, remotely. And that might be part of what you want to share with those consumers, let them understand that the reason we are an essential business and title is an essential business is because we are essential to the economy and we can still conduct the business remotely. We don't have to be sitting across from each other. So maybe that might be a conversation that could go something like this. Say, hey, how are you? I'm just calling to see how you were doing. You were a lead of mine from 6 months ago. You had inquired about a house in the Gables. I just wanted to share with you what is it that I'm doing with some of my customers so you may know how business is being done today. That is a simple opening line to a conversation that will go on. You're not calling to say, hey, remember the house you called me on? The house, and they reduced the price. And, take that out of the table. Go ahead, add to that.
I have a great lead source for all the people who are attending this call today.
Okay.
Go to your Facebook or go to Twitter and do a poll. I don't care what you put in the poll, but how many people are searching for homes who never searched for homes before on your Facebook page? Or, make it, I bet you, like my wife and all of her friends who do the virtual happy hours, they were talking the other day. They're like, they spend, I think, 2 hours a day looking for homes. Just great lead source. Put it out there. How many of you guys are for those of you who are working from home, how many hours a day are you searching for homes? Just curious. I bet you're going to see a lot of people pop up there.
Yeah. So we're approaching the end of the webinar. So we have any questions, anybody can jump in. I think that, like I said, we would have been down this road before. It would have been a difficult scenario. So, in your content, bring in all of those tools that you have that makes, even when the quarantine is over, because the quarantine is not going to last forever. Even when the quarantine it's gone and you want to take advantage of business, there are some consumers that are going to want, they want to do things a little different. And so you want to make sure that you have the tools and you have mastered those tools to do that, from pre-qualifying that client, through an app, through, previewing homes virtually and eliminating it. So maybe instead of showing them 27 homes on 2 weekends, you narrow it down to them actually walking through 4 homes and making an offer in one of them, right? And like I said, you can literally, through our technology, you can make the offer as you walk into the house. You can draft the offer, text it to them. They can e-sign it. They can pull out the checkbook and they can deposit the checkbook directly into trust without having to say, hey, let me take that check from you and let me drive to the office and deposit it. We both have that technology that we can take advantage that, all of that can be done virtually. That was not the case 10 years ago. And when we're out of the quarantine, there's some people that are going to say, you know what, Carlos, I rather deposit a check myself. You're like, okay, fantastic. Download the app, deposit a check directly into my account. We can take the file from here. Here's the app where you can follow the progress of the file. So there's a lot of tech that has been rolled out that, we need to implement, because, it's not going to be business as usual. I am telling you right now, it's not going to be business as usual. It's not that business is going to disappear. I think in the U.S. has about 10 million homes that are sold yearly, going back for the past decade. Maybe that number fluctuates a little, but 10 million homes are still going to sell. They're just going to sell differently. There's not going to be the same way, hey, let's meet at Starbucks, let's print something, let's sign it, I'm going to scan it. No. All of that is going to pivot and change. So find a partner, a giant that has an e-commerce platform that can help you take that business when the business changes. Because a lot of the business is going to change and you want to be tech savvy to be able to carry that on. I said 2 years ago, because someone sent it to me, I said 2 years ago, and I should have written this down somewhere, a real estate agent is not going to replace by technology. When Zillow and Redfin and all of these other companies that I'm not going to name were, going gangbusters, and everybody says, oh, in 2 years, Amazon is going to become a real estate giant and realtors are going to disappear. I went out and I said, I think it's on Facebook, and I said, listen, guys, a real estate agent is not going to be replaced by technology. But today, more than ever, a real estate agent without technology will be replaced by that real estate agent that is tech savvy. So you have the choice, either be replaced or embrace the new reality and learn the tech that is going to help you do business. I think it's going to be a while before Carlos can sit with a group of us and bring us donuts. But he might ship us a box of donuts and we can eat donuts virtually. But yeah, so Carlos, I just went on a rant, so I'll let you close it up. What do you want to say in there?
I just, I'm very optimistic. We don't live in North Dakota. We live in the best state in the United States, and we live in the best cities in the United States, in Florida, Miami, in the Fort Lauderdale, Pembroke Pines. I mean, everybody wants to live here. So, and I'm speaking about my own family. I know that my father-in-law and my grandmother-in-law both live in condos. And the talk in my family is, after this is all over, they both need to move out of the condos. So I can't be the only one who's living that, right? So I would say, I'm a big team guy. I'd say join a team. I would say start a new business plan with that team. I would say target your past customers, current customers, make sure they're doing okay. And I would definitely target people who live in condos who are older of age, because it's not going to be a safer place for them to, the elevators, for example, they have to go one person at a time in the elevator. Elevators are breaking; they can't go up or down. So it's been eye-opening, and that's why I'm very, very, very optimistic with Florida. Very optimistic.
Hey, Carlos, question that came in, what marketing, and I know the answer, what marketing tool do you provide to real estate agents as part of your
Do
services?
you recommend for us to always use? Well, Jennifer, that's a tough question because it depends on what you are looking for the app to use. Do you want a farming app? You want an app to help you with photos? So whoever asked that question, you have to elaborate a little bit more. Farming app, okay. There's a lot of different farming tools. The first question would be for me to ask that person to find out what exactly they're looking to accomplish with the farming. Because we could use our Stewart Now farming tool, or we have TitleFlex, or there's tools from the association that you all also have for free. So I would say if that agent is in Broward County, have them reach out to Erica and Alex. And like I said, all of your agents need to take advantage. We have the ex-trainer for the Miami Association of Realtors in our team, in our family. This is a great opportunity for him to show you how to use those tools for farming in addition to ours.
So Stewart Now it's the same service as Offers.com. They do an analytical search of an area, and they'll look for, based on algorithms and information, who could be possible sellers in that specific demographic area. So the association has a tool like that.
Yeah. How about this? I didn't mean to interrupt you. How about we do a webinar? Can you give me a time for either next week or next month, and we'll do a webinar for all of your agents on Stewart Now, just the smart farm.
Yeah, guys, we will put that on the calendar. Stay tuned, and we will show you how that works. I seen it work before. It's an algorithm-based system for finding sellers. So it's a very.
It uses the person has to live in the property for X period of time, and they have to have X amount of equity in the home, and then those show up first.
Yeah. So
the majority of your agents.
Yeah.
I've personally trained most of your agents. I know Erica has too, but since we have the time, I would love to do a webinar with your agents specifically just for that.
Okay, well, they're very happy for that. So, in closing, what do you want to say before they see you again in 2 weeks? What is your marching orders for everybody listening? What should they do over the next 2 weeks?
My advice is, number one, sleep well. Number two, take care of yourself, exercise. 3, do a business plan. Okay, you need to have a plan for all this. And number 4, over communicate. This is the time to over communicate.
That is going to be the line I'm going to steal from him from this webinar, because he kept every time he talked about a point, and if you were following along, he always ended up going back to communicate. So I think over communicate is the tagline for this presentation. This is not the time to sit on the couch and hide. This is the time to reach to anybody and everybody. And if you need help on what scripts to use, I might do something private, just company-wide, with a couple little scripts that I have already jotted down. But over communicate should be your marching orders for the next 20 days. As the quarantine is over and business begins to find a way to be done, you wanna be loading that cannon of business. Not that you're gonna start in June to build business. You want to be building a pipeline of business now. You want to be reaching out to sellers through Stewart Now, to past customers, and be building that cannon so you can, boom, celebrate once we're out of here, with production and with health. Carlos, I truly want to thank you for taking the time this morning to sharing what you're doing marketing wise and your end and how that could be applied for everybody watching and listening today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm surprised no one mentioned my Easter color polo. I wore it specifically for you guys, man. Happy Easter, happy holidays to everybody there. Thank you so much. Stay safe, stay with your family. And again, I love every one of you. So thank you so much, Ernesto.
Thank you, Carlos. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, everybody, for watching.